The Chiefs will be even better next year, and we're going to talk about it. Good morning, Chiefs Kingdom. Hope you got a little bit of sleep. That was a rough one last night. Rough way to end the season. But thanks for being here. Do us a favor, hit the like button. Let's talk some football. But before we get started, Mike, let them know who's powering the live stream.
This live stream is sponsored and powered by BetUS. Check out BetUS.com today. Check out what they have going on. Right now, you can use the code YouTube150, and you're going to get a 150% deposit bonus match on your first deposit. And then the next two, you're going to get 125% deposit match bonuses. Those are up to $2,000, so take advantage of all the free plays. The site's easy to use, plenty of props on there. Go to BetUS.com, use the promo code YouTube150, let them know All Chiefed Up sent you their way. No more football to bet on, Steve. No more football to bet on, but you can do other things, man. We're getting ready to hit basketball season, college basketball. There's plenty of stuff to go on there, so good on BetUS. Check them out. Steve, how'd you sleep last night? Did you sleep well? Were you angry sleeping?
Well, considering it's, only been a small space of time between post-game live stream and now,
right.
A little bit. A little bit.
I didn't sleep well last night, but it's not for the reasons I think. Like, I don't think the game bothered me. Like, it was kind of over with for me at the end of it. I didn't think the Chiefs played well enough to win. And honestly, I would have probably been a little more disappointed. I mean, you hate getting blown out. Don't get me wrong. You hate getting blown out. But even that Bucks game when we got blown out, like, that didn't bother me as bad. I feel like I would have been a lot worse if we had played a great game and we'd have lost on a field goal at the end or something.
I would have took that all day.
Really?
Like, I am the complete opposite of you. Go out and at least show some damn dignity on the football field.
I mean, I'm kind of irritated we didn't put up a better fight than we did, but to me, getting blown out and the way that we played, it almost is a sense of relief in a way. It's like you can be indifferent about it. Like, I just don't care. Like, we lost, we got blown out, whatever. We'll move on.
Well, I mean, that's how it goes anyway. It sucks that the season ended that way. It sucks that they got that damn close to a three-peat and just couldn't do it. It sucks that Patrick Mahomes had his worst game as a NFL quarterback in a Super Bowl that was for a three-peat.
Yeah.
It sucks that the team didn't show up. It sucks that Andy Reid forgot that you could run the ball. It sucks. But, I mean, this is all stuff we've seen before. I mean, we've seen Patrick McClones before. We've seen Andy Reid completely abandon a run game. We've seen it all. And last night, it was just a bad day to have a bad day. No one showed up with any intensity. Andy had the worst game plan imaginable for the offense. Patrick Mahomes fell apart and had one of those Bungles types games. And it just is what it is. I mean, but yeah, the Eagles are your Super Bowl champions. I had to take down my Facebook banner. Has been the Chiefs champions thing for almost 3 years, man. And I actually had to change it last night. I was like, oh, time to take this down. That kind of sucked. But, I mean, what a historic, unprecedented run by the Kansas City Chiefs, ladies and gentlemen. So I think that's something to be proud of, and that's something you can hang your head high about it, really. I mean, it sucks to get blown out. It sucks to not show up. It sucked to watch. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, ultimately, this team's gave you more than you could ever ask for, so it's kind of hard to be, like, super upset.
Yeah. We had flashes the entire night of Chiefs versus Bucks Super Bowl. I mean, it just felt like all night long. Like, this whole game it felt odd. The vibes were weird. I went back and watched the beginning of it. If you watch Patrick Mahomes walking out pre-game, when the team captains come out and called the coin toss, Mahomes didn't even look right then. It looked like somebody just kicked his dog 10 times. Like, he literally looked defeated before he took the field. It's almost as if he knew the Chiefs were going to take a dive. That's what it felt like. And people were sending me that, and they were asking me, they were like, why does it look like Mahomes he looked the same way he looked before the Bucks Super Bowl? He looked the same way he did during the
second half of the
second half.
Game.
It's pretty crazy that the greatest quarterback in history can play so bad. And when he's that bad, he's either so epic or he is so bad that people question whether or not he throws games. Right. Like, that's how bad it gets. Like, he's got to be able to find a little bit higher floor in these big games. It can't be like Superman or Pee Wee Herman. You got to find something in the middle to
dude.
give us a chance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this game essentially, like you said, they lost, but I mean, you haven't lost a playoff game in 3 years. Lost in the Super Bowl for a three-peat sucks, but it is what it is. And the thing about it is, this is nothing more than a game for the bottom feeders to come out and just try to, do a victory lap. This is the equivalent of like back when the Raiders finally beat the Chiefs and Gruden did a victory lap around Arrowhead. It's the same difference.
Well,
with these morons.
all we've heard so far is, well, that's what it looks like when the refs aren't carrying the Chiefs for once. The Chiefs didn't even deserve to be in the Super Bowl, and that proved it. They just got carried there.
Right.
That's what you're going to get. It's uneducated. It's ignorance.
Right. Well, that one's ridiculous. The one that you're really going to hear about is Patrick Mahomes should not be in the GOAT conversation after that one, ever. Well, guys, I hate to tell you, Patrick Mahomes has lost 2 Super Bowls now. Tom Brady lost 3, so you can chill with that one. But yeah, I mean, terrible showing. Just a
too much time
bad
there.
day, all in all. L. Rob in the house. See, we got one of the dumb trolls in here right now. To the pit. No one cares about you, bro.
Who's still trolling?
If you're trying to talk trash on a team that's
work,
if you're trying to talk trash on a team that's dominated football for a decade, just go somewhere.
Cool try. Look, last night I don't know how many pressures. I want to find how many pressures Mahomes ended up taking. I did go back and find that during the Super Bowl versus the Bucks, when it felt like he was literally running for his life 24/7. He kind of was. He was under pressure 27 of his 56 dropbacks in that game, which means he was pressured on 48% of snaps. Something tells me he was not pressured that much this time.
No.
It may feel like it, but I don't feel like he was pressured on 48% of his dropbacks.
He wasn't. I mean, there was a lot of pressure, but he also created a lot of his own pressure, too.
Yeah, so to me, I feel like it's a little bit of a overreaction by Chiefs fans. Like, oh no, we suck again. We couldn't, that guy from Waterboy. I feel like they fell into that really quickly. And again, but we were playing with a makeshift offensive line the whole year. And again, this all boiled down to Andy and them having 2 weeks and didn't game plan for that at all. Like, I think people are going to start figuring it out. Like, oh, that running game was a little more important than everybody thought.
This is nothing more than a failed coaching performance, right? Like, if you have 2 weeks to come up with a game plan and you come out and you refuse to run the football, you just allow a defense to get into pin your ears back mode, get all the momentum. And you know how your quarterback does in those situations. Like, that's the thing about it. It's not a surprise. Like, everyone knows Patrick Mahomes. If they're getting to him and he has to scramble a lot, that eventually he's going to do too much. He's going to try to throw the ball somewhere he shouldn't throw it, and that's exactly what happened. They got out, gave all the momentum to the defense, and then got Patrick to. He had the happy feet. I mean, you've seen it on a couple of plays where there wasn't even that much pressure. He'd get back there, his footwork was terrible. He already looked like he was trying to run somewhere. So I mean, you get Patrick Mahomes, you turn him into Patrick McClones, and that's what happens. And I'm starting to realize that defenses are not what turns Patrick Mahomes into Patrick McClones. It's Andy Reid. And the way that they do this offense.
I kind of feel that way, too. I feel like it gets to be the play calling and that kind of stuff is what causes Mahomes to get out of sync. I did find that the Eagles generated 16 pressures last night. So the Eagles generated 16 pressures, and the Bucks generated 27. So that's a big, big difference. There were 11 more pressures the first time, but yet the Chiefs still took a beating last night. Mahomes ended up finishing the game with a total QBR of 11.4. And that was with those 2 scoring drives there at the end, where the Eagles just marched it down the field. His passer rating before that was a 10.9. That was his first half passer rating. His EPA per dropback was a -136. That was the 10th worst by any quarterback in the first half of a game. Not a Super Bowl, but the 10th worst of any QB in a game. since 2018. That almost went back 10 years.
Right.
And again, I get that he was under some pressure, but like we even seen last night, people tried to bail him out there when he threw that pick late. You know, not the pick six, but the other one. Oh, well, Tooney's man got pushed into him. Dude, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like, he shouldn't have been making that throw anyway. If he wasn't, dude, if that was a completely clean pocket, that ball was getting picked because Mahomes was not throwing that ball in a proper spot. He didn't even see the linebacker. And he's had field blindness to that underneath guy several times this year. We've seen it.
Well,
He
his whole
threw that
career,
same
he's
pick
kinda-
probably 4 times this year.
Even back when Pat was playing at top level, he still would have those moments. Sometimes you just don't see those players. And,
Yeah,
like,
it's that guy in the middle of the field, the underneath guy right there, has picked him off 4 or 5 times this year.
and also trying to sneak one behind Cooper DeJean was a terrible idea there too.
Yeah, I
You
think
know?
you forget how athletic Cooper DeJean really is. But look,
Well, I think he just thought he could sneak it by there.
Yeah.
and that
I
was a
mean-
product of trying to do too much.
right.
That's all.
At the end of the day, again, there's a lot of blame to go around, and Mahomes took a lot of that blame. Andy Reid took the blame. I mean, that's what they're going to do. That's cool. But I mean, I'm just ready to move on at this point. I don't even feel like I said, I was over it last night. Like, yes, it hurt to not get a three-peat, but at the end of the day, you're sitting here and you're sulking that we didn't win 3 in a row. People are in here talking shit because we didn't win 3 in a row. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we've won 2, and we've won, 3 in 5 years, and you've been to an AFC Championship every game of Mahomes' career. It's like, you don't have much to talk about. Like,
Right.
have fun. Because the team that you don't even like beat the Chiefs,
Well, I just wanted to bring this up, and I already talked about it for a split second, but of course, people are going to go into the dynasty is over, or Patrick Mahomes should not be in the GOAT conversation.
How do you, in your opinion, how do you classify when the dynasty's over? Like, legit. Don't give me an answer like when Mahomes retires, because I mean, technically that could probably be. I mean, you could have considered Brady a threat every year, right?
Let me just say what I was saying here. First of all, Tom Brady lost 3 Super Bowls. He lost 3 Super Bowls. Now, he didn't get blown out in a Super Bowl like that, but he should have been blown out in one that he won. So, I mean, yeah, they managed to scrap a
Just shows you how
comeback
good
together.
he is, though.
Yeah, they managed to scrap a comeback together. It also shows you how bad the Atlanta Falcons were in that Super Bowl in the second half, because that was damn near impossible for them to lose that game.
Or-
They should have just knelt it down.
How good Belichick and the offensive game plan made at half.
Right. So, but let's hear me out. So he lost 3 Super Bowls in his career. And the thing about it is, Patrick Mahomes has been to more Super Bowls in his first 7 seasons than Tom Brady went to. They both won 3, though. But think about this, man. Tom Brady won in 2002, 2004, and 2005. So literally, that's almost identical of how Patrick Mahomes won his 3 Super Bowls. They had a back-to-back after they won one a couple years before. Right? Tom Brady didn't win another Super Bowl until 2015.
Yeah, it was a big gap there.
A 10-year gap. Okay? So after 10 years, Tom Brady comes back and wins 15.
So that would be the equivalent if
17,
Mahomes and
19.
the Chiefs didn't even get back to a Super Bowl in 10 years.
Correct. Now, I'm not saying that Brady didn't get to a Super Bowl.
Well,
Because
to
I
win
think
a
that's when the
Super Bowl.
Giants beat them and everything. But, I mean, honestly, and you guys that, if you're watching and you're one of those Tom Brady homers or you're just a Chiefs hater or whatever, I want you to really look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, do you think that Patrick Mahomes won't win another Super Bowl for the next 10 years? Because if your answer is no, like, you are taking a big
Look,
risk
it's tough to
there.
win Super Bowls, but
Like-
seeing what Mahomes has done in his short time and then telling me that you got to take that plus add 2 years to it and he won't ever get back or win another one.
And to
I
answer
don't
your
take that
question,
bet.
when is the dynasty over? It just depends on how you look at it. A lot of people think they try to lump Tom Brady's whole career in as a Patriots dynasty, even though they went 10 years without winning a Super Bowl.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So if the Chiefs
Yeah.
say, for example, miss next year, I don't think you could stop the dynasty because we did that the year that, Burrow and the Bengals lost to the Rams, then we come back and won 2 in a row. So
Right, so,
just
I mean-
missing the Super Bowl for 1 year is not going to end the dynasty.
Exactly.
Because that started the dynasty. It didn't.
I
Like we
would
had started
say-
before.
if it was me personally, like I think that the Patriots went through two separate dynasties there.
Oh, yeah, for
Obviously,
sure.
2002, 2004, 2005.
I think the
and then
Chiefs would
10
have to
years
miss
later,
the Super
they
Bowl 3 years in a row, and we'd probably have to miss the AFC Championship game 2 out of 3 years before you could say this stretch of dynasty's done.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a definitive gap there. And then even when they came back and they won, Tom Brady and the Patriots won three more later on. It was 2015, 2017, 2019. So they didn't win just a bunch in a row. They won every other year for three, So in 6 years, they won three. So, I mean, let's be honest here. Everybody can talk as much shit as they want. But this Chiefs dynasty that's still in play, last night means nothing when it comes to the dynasty that's still in play. Other than the fact that they just didn't cement themselves as the strongest dynasty of all time. I think they're still the most dominant. I think they're still more dominant than the Patriots were in that first three. So it's, everybody can argue with the wall if they want.
Well, did you get to listen to what Alex Smith was saying yesterday? How people hate on this greatness, but they shouldn't, because you're probably not going to see something like this again. It may
Right.
be 50 years or longer before you see another team be able to try to get the opportunity to have three
Right.
championships in a row.
Well, I think if anyone
every
does it, it'll be
year-
this same team.
Right. Every single year, the league tries to create parity. And
Yeah.
by that, I mean they try to usher something in for Buffalo and Josh Allen, because they're going to change the rules again this year for them.
Right.
So every single year, they'll do something to try to help Josh Allen get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's what the league defines as parity now. So, yeah, and to be honest, I don't think Brady, in his time throughout the league, I don't think there was as many dominant QBs as there are right now. Like, Patrick Mahomes is going through a huge stretch of dominant QBs. Like, almost every single team in the AFC's got a top-notch quarterback.
Yeah. Well, people's throwing out all the stops too. I feel like back in the day, everybody just kind of laid down and took it, right? like the
It feels like it.
if
Like,
you
it
look
feels
at
like
if you look at the AFC East back then,
Like, who did Brady really have to fight every year to get to the Super Bowl? Like,
Nothing. I
Peyton
mean,
Manning?
those
That
teams
was
were,
it.
were
Like, one
trash.
guy?
All the teams in his division were trash, and they never even really try to do anything. Like the AFC West throws out their whole arsenal and tries to
Dude,
go
they've
buy
been
everybody in
buying
the world.
players for years and years to
Yeah.
try to beat Mahomes.
It's been a little bit different, man. It's been a little bit different.
Yeah.
Chief DeLorean with the 5 bomb says I was okay with them losing, but getting embarrassed and blown out is a whole different thing. This one hurt to watch. Yeah, that's right where I'm at with it, Mike. Like I know you said like something else about it, but I feel like this is way worse. If they came out and played a good game last night and got beat at the end of it, or just lost by 10, or like something respectable, last night was an embarrassment. They embarrassed themselves on the national stage last night.
I mean, they
the,
did.
The amount of effort that was put in, the piss poor play, piss poor execution. All of it was they just literally embarrassed themselves. And after
But
what did they
wasn't
do?
the game
So
easier to stomach as a loss? Because
No.
after the first quarter, I mean, you pretty much knew you were done.
It doesn't
It's just
matter.
sit back and watch that horrific halftime show.
Yeah, that was a great halftime show.
Hated it.
It was good. So
Kendrick Lamar could not carry halftime.
it was good. He did good. But the thing about it is,
Whatever.
man. Anyway, the thing about it is, Mike, if it would have been a close game, at least you could hang your hat on the fact that this team did not let the entire world talk trash, call them frauds, say that the refs are the only reason why they've ever won anything, and go out there and give them a reason to corroborate it.
Yeah, that was my only thing. Was like I didn't feel like the Chiefs. I didn't feel like they responded very well to a full 2 weeks, and technically it's been going on all season, but it was starting to pick up for at least 2 months, and then it got really crazy over the past 2 weeks. And they didn't respond to that well, in my opinion. I thought if somebody's going to come at you and talk trash to your face, and as competitive as this group is, to then come out and get beaten like that, and to not even try. That's why a lot of people thought it was like, seriously, like the Chiefs were told to lay down. I mean, that people are saying this.
I didn't see much fight coming from. I
But
didn't
look
see
at
the,
this. Look, if you're on the if you're on the boat that the NFL is completely scripted and rigged and they cheated for the Chiefs all this time, then don't jump off the boat when somebody says the Chiefs
Now
were
you
told to
have
lay
to
down.
say this wasn't in the script.
Right. So which one is it? Are you going to buy by the script and the Chiefs just laid down for him, or what? Like, which one is it?
We got a 20 bomb from Horntup. He says the game, is it still going to go? Is it still going?
Are you just going to we're just going to play this all day?
Might as well. Anyway, Horntup with a 20 bomb says the game was 100% on Andy. One run call in the first quarter. You couldn't have made it any easier on the pass rush. When there's no run, of course Pat looks bad. If anyone threw the game, it was Andy. Man,
Maybe Andy had some bills to pay. He took, he took
here's
a
the
flyer.
thing. This is not new for Andy Reid. This is a well-known flaw of Andy Reid's coaching.
Andy Reid's whole thing, Steve, was he doesn't commit to the run and he didn't know how to clock manage. And he had got a lot better at that this year, I thought.
Look, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. Anyone that blames this game on anything other than Andy Reid's failure to run the ball in the first quarter, you're a slap nut.
Yeah, because I think it let the game get out of hand too quickly.
It set the tone. If
It
you
was
co- you
like
come
trying
out, Mike,
to grip sand is what it felt like, trying to hang on to that game, and you just couldn't do it.
you put yourself in a hole.
Yeah, you could not do
if
it.
you come out and you just let the defense get into pin your ears back mode, get all the momentum, and then you get yourself into trouble, and you can't start running the ball because you're already down 24 to
Right.
nothing.
Now you've definitely pigeonholed yourself.
You're screwed. You're done. They were toast
And
after that.
You played right into what the Eagles wanted to do. When you punt, turn the ball over, what you've done is you've done everything the Eagles allowed you. That you've done everything the Eagles wanted you to do. You played right into the script. You allowed your defense to now have to go out there and deal with tons of clock control that they wanted to do anyway, which means our defense essentially gets more tired and gives up more points over and over. It allows
dude.
them to rely on their running game more. It allows Jalen Hurts to not have to throw the ball. Even though I'll say this, Steve, we said Jalen Hurts had to throw the ball to beat us. He really didn't. But when he did have to throw the ball, he beat us.
yeah.
Like our corners, even McDuffie didn't have a great night.
Well,
last
I mean,
night.
that's just kind of the difference that you saw last night with the quarterbacks. Even like Pat Mahomes, his coach put him in a bad spot, and it made it very difficult. But he didn't make the throws he needed to make. Jalen Hurts threw dimes. Like when he needed to make a throw, he made a throw.
It's wild that Jalen Hurts was the best quarterback by far on that field last night. Because Jalen Hurts compared to Mahomes in life, in his football career, is nowhere near Patrick Mahomes' level.
No,
Steve, you wrote Jalen Hurts off. You said he's horrible.
is he? Did I say
You
he was
call him
horrible?
mediocre, though, don't you?
He is mediocre. He's still mid.
So I'm just saying, though, but you don't think what the Eagles are doing to the NFC, I mean, I think they could probably run 2 or 3 off here like the 49ers did. Their
It
team's
has
every
not-
bit built for that.
Okay, and I see Jalen Hurts as no different than Brock Purdy, other than the fact that he actually cashed in on a Super Bowl. I mean, they're not that. He's not
Yeah, I
that
mean,
great.
I wonder, like, where do people actually put Jalen Hurts now? Like, is he like a top 5 quarterback instantly? Like, what are we doing? With
They're
this?
going to try to throw that out there, but I mean,
Is he not better than Lamar though, and Josh Allen? I mean, those guys can't win a big game. They choked. He's going out there throwing dimes in a bigger stage.
I mean that's you have to give them that credit. You do, but I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
come
think you
on.
could say that they. Here's my thing: that Philadelphia team, the team that we saw yesterday, the team we saw all through the playoffs, it could have been their backup quarterback. Let's be honest.
Dude, they could have beaten us last night with
Yeah.
they could have beaten us with AJ Brown as their quarterback last night, the way we were playing.
Andy Reid did the hell out of that game last night. Let's just say that.
Yeah, well, like we said, we knew what they were going to do, and Andy's game plan played right into it.
Right.
Just play
Peter
right into
Ortiz. Peter Ortiz with the 10 bomb says the season is over. I'm going to enjoy the draft. All the scouting and deal making is interesting. Chiefs will return stronger next season. 100%. And that's kind of what this one's about today. The Chiefs will be better next year. They're going to be better. It'll be interesting to see what moves Brett Veach makes. It'll be interesting to see who he can bring back on this team. But the Chiefs are going to continue to get better. And that's kind of the point I was trying to make earlier. A lot of people are going to say, oh, the dynasty's over, or, whatever, try to talk trash. But, I mean, Chiefs aren't going anywhere. We know this. Patrick Mahomes has a long-ass career ahead of him. I mean, old man Tom Brady played for 274 seasons, okay? So when we're trying to compare goats or this or that. Y'all got to
You
stop.
find it odd that Tom Brady was chosen to call the game last night. It's like they tried to put the Brady curse on us. So Brady called the game we get blown out in, and he played in the game we got blown out in.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of memes about that.
Like, why'd they do that? Because Brady was a kind of a subpar, mediocre analysis guy all year long. He was even getting made fun of how bad he was.
That's Tom Brady, Mike. It doesn't just has nothing to do with
Who,
that. It's
who
just
had the
fact-
rights to it? Was it Fox?
Yeah,
I guess
and
that's the
who-
reason. I guess if it was CBS, would have heard Romo's idiot self.
You were
So I
going to
guess
say
we
dumbass.
dodged that one.
You were going to say dumbass.
Hey, would you have rather had Romo?
No. I mean, Tom Brady, the only thing that Tom Brady was guilty of last night is he sucks at going into commercials. He doesn't know when to shut up. And secondly,
I'm going to give Tom Brady credit. He cried about that A.J. Brown push-off. He said, oh, no, and they made a huge deal over it, bringing in Gene's territory. It's funny how when the Chiefs get calls, you have to go to Gene's territory, and you have to get it backed up by everybody.
but what's even better is Steratore likes to give a big, long explanation about how they're wrong, but when they asked Gene about the calls that were
Yeah.
bad against the Chiefs, he wouldn't talk.
Exactly. And then, so they finally go to him, and he's like, what are you talking about? The Chiefs got a call. I don't have to talk about this. But I'll give Tom Brady credit is that he even called the McDuffie one BS.
He pointed him out.
And the thing about it is the A.J. Brown penalty was 100% a penalty. Look, that's an arm bar to the face mask. That is a full
That's
arm
OPI
separation
all day,
with
yeah.
a face mask. That was a good call. The McDuffie one, on the other hand,
Terrible
I can
call.
give them grace as saying McDuffie did make contact with the helmet.
Doesn't matter.
But he was playing the
Incidental.
ball.
Yeah.
And so my whole thing was McDuffie just supposed to let the guy catch it? If he caught the ball, if the ball wasn't overthrown, does McDuffie just have to concede the catch at that point?
That was an egregious call right there, and it cost the team 7 points. And then also the Nick Bolton call.
The Nick Bolton
that was egregious as well.
on the running back may have been the worst call of the night.
And
that was
that-
one of the tops, if not
that
the
also
worst.
gifted them some points on the board. So it sucks, but that's just how it is. And it didn't matter anyway, because even if they would have
Oh, it
made
wouldn't
those
have mattered.
calls, it would not have mattered. It would not have mattered. So throw that out there. Appreciate the 10 bomb, Peter. And then Chief KT with the 2 bombs says, I'm really mad my team couldn't win 3 in a row. Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. It's frustrating. It sucks. They definitely could have done it. Good Lord, man. It just sucks that it went that way. That's the last thing I expected, was to go out there and get absolutely manhandled and just.
You didn't expect it,
You know
but
what's
when
crazy?
the game started and you watched maybe the first, 10 minutes, did you...
It's Andy Reid, bro.
Yeah, the
It was a
series
game
after
plan.
Brian Cook got that pick, like when he got that pick, I was still like hope. But
Well,
as
yeah, it
soon
was
as
7-0
Mahomes come
at
out
that
there
point.
and like when he threw that first pick six, like you just about knew the game was done.
Well, that's the thing. Like, there was literally no other scenario that the Chiefs could have got blown out here, other than Andy Reid coming out
We
and
heard that all
refusing
year-
to run the
all
ball
week long too, didn't we? The Chiefs are a team that just don't get blown out. They don't get blown out. Good luck trying to blow them. And Andy Reid
There's-
played right into it.
Yes, there's one way that this team could have got behind the 8 ball and got blown out in this game, and Andy Reid
And he
walked right
did
into it. Yes,
Andy
absolutely.
just put it on the Fumble-rooski. Like, good job,
Fumble-rooski.
Andy. Hey, look, everybody that says Mahomes and Kelsey got to stop doing commercials. Andy Reid signed up for 7 new commercials this year. Maybe he forgot how to coach because he's too busy doing commercials now. Big Hollywood Andy out here.
Peter Ortiz with 25. Let's go, Peter. He says, what position is KC going after first? Okay, so I think after last night, the talk of the town is going to be offensive line, because the casuals and the people that don't know a whole lot about football or don't dig in far enough, it's just the offensive line was terrible, right? So, yeah, they got to go after a left tackle. They got to figure something out there. If for nothing more than just to appease everybody. But, I mean, Joe Tooney, I think he did a fine job sliding over and playing that position. I think Mike Caliendo did a good job coming in playing guard. It just, last night, their coach put them in a shitty position, and it sucked for them. And they're gonna shoulder most of the blame, and it's just not right. But either way, they have to go after a left tackle. They can't keep ignoring that. Okay? And you can't try to take a shot at the end of the second round. You can't try to take a shot at a third rounder and think that's going to happen. The offensive line's a little bit different, especially the tackle position, left tackle in particular. That's not one that you can just try to hit a home run in the 7th round. It's
I
not
mean,
like
it's
a running back.
possible, but it's about
Exactly.
that possible.
So, I mean, you have to make a concerted effort to go out and get a good left tackle. And that's what Brett Veach has to do this offseason. Whether it's sign, I don't know who's going to be a free agent. Haven't even started to dig in on that yet. Not real sure what's going to be available. Not real sure who's going to be available in the draft. But they have to do something to shore that up. They're also going to be probably trying to patch together the rest of the offensive line because I don't think Joe Tooney's going to be back unless they come up with something, and I don't think Trey Smith's going to be back. So I think there's a lot of offensive line work to do. Like right now, this is no different than having that no offensive line after the Tampa Bay loss, and they're having to reconstruct the entire offensive line. It's literally the same thing this offseason. So,
yeah. I'm with you. You got to go get a tackle. The best tackle available, and to be honest, I don't think the draft is where you're going to be able to find one. We picked too late. You're not getting into the top 10 to 15.
I think you got to go out. You just got to get one way or another, and someone that's proved themselves already. And
right. And so the best tackle available in free agency is going to be Ronnie Stanley from the Baltimore Ravens. Like that's it. He's a left tackle. He's 6'6", 315. But look, he's 30 years old. Right. Is that too old? Is it not? Does he have years? I mean, I think a 30-year-old could play till he's at least, 33, 34 at a high level at a left tackle. I mean, Trent Williams now is how old?
47.
He's got to be. Yeah, he's up there. Ronnie Stanley had an 80 blocking grade this year, pass blocking. I mean, so he was 21st rated in all the tackles. It's not super high, but he's 21st. I mean, 13 penalties. He played 1,000 snaps. He only allowed 2 sacks. Maybe that's a big guy you can get, but are the Ravens going to let him walk? That's a very big thing. And then when you get past him, there's not much there. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's one guy. After him, you got to go to, like, Cam Robinson.
Yeah, Cam Robinson, Tyron Smith, which is, yeah.
I mean, you're really getting into just like that is a position that is really, really hard to find a guy that can come in and just be super, super solid. And we've struggled. Like, it's hard. Brett Veach has had trouble doing it. They keep trying to turn right tackles into left tackles, and
yeah,
it's tough, man. I don't know what they're going to be able to do. They've got themselves in an odd position. I think last year, instead of trading up, I know Xavier Worthy was great. But I feel like maybe last year you could have pieced something and maybe tried to get up and get like a Talise Fuanga or something. But technically,
yeah, who knows, man?
He was looked at as a guard. So
even trying to get anyone in the draft is still a risk. I think
it's a risk. It's a risk.
Even if you get them early, it's still a risk. And I think that's not what the Chiefs need to do in this position. They need to figure something out. So if they don't go after, let's say, a Ronnie Stanley, I think they need to start looking into is anybody willing to trade. Like
that might have to be the way you do it.
Yes, they've got to do something.
And honestly, if it's a trade scenario, 9.9 times out of 10, it's a trade scenario where the guy's not happy with a contract and you're going to have to fork over some big money up on trade.
Yeah.
Which means some of the guys we want to sign may not be back.
Antoine Anthony with the 2 bombs to 7 called run plays is an epic failure. Absolutely. And when you think about it, they only called 1 run play in the first quarter, 3 run plays in the first half. Like,
yeah, it was bad.
That was the story. Like, you literally, Andy Reid pulled his pants down and took a dump in the Super Bowl. That was pathetic. Like, the worst offensive game plan I think I've ever seen. And we saw it in the Super Bowl.
Andy was very chill about it in the post game too. Like he was very much unbothered.
He knows what he did.
By the fact
is Andy bothered about anything?
That was a horrible game.
Perry with the 5 bombs. His left tackle will be a need, but the only free agent that may be worth it is Stanley of the Ravens. Offensive line class is bad in free agency. Do you bring back Gay this offseason?
I don't see the need.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know about. I think the focus on defense is going to be getting Nick Bolton back in there. I know a lot of people don't really care that much for Nick Bolton, but I do think that he's an integral piece of the defense, and I think they will try to keep him. He also is not going to be like super expensive, so I think they might be able to work a deal out with him. To me, Nick Bolton seems like he could be one of those Chiefs lifers, maybe like a Derek Johnson, somebody just plays for the long haul with the Chiefs. So we'll see.
Hey, there was
We'll
a
see about that.
linebacker on the other side of the field that played a hell of a game last night, Zach Bond. He's going to be a free agent. Maybe they'll go get him. He's an off-ball linebacker.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll do it, but
Yeah.
I just don't think. To me, I don't feel like you're going to see any big splash signings in free agency. If we don't take Bolton and Trey Smith, I just really can't get on board with the Chiefs doing anything differently. Like it's probably going to be somebody we
Trey
had
Smith's
this year.
going to be a tough re-sign for the Chiefs.
Who?
Trey Smith.
In my opinion, yeah. We
He'll
just
be a
read
tough
today.
re-sign.
Why did we just read today? It was something insane. Like they're saying that he could get $20 million per.
Yeah, you're looking at if you try to long term him, you're going
So
to
you're
be
looking at a
$100 million
5-year deal for
a
Trey Smith
guard.
worth $100 million to pay a guard.
They're not going to pay a guard $100 million, bro.
Even at a 4-year contract, you're looking at $80 million, and that's not even counting. That's not even counting your like upfront money.
Now I will say they were giving Juwan Taylor that much money to suck at right tackle.
But that's my point though. Look, he come from free agent, and that's been a monumental fail at an $80 million contract.
yeah,
So I get that we all love Trey Smith, but is it ever a good idea to pay a guard $80 million?
we'll see what Brett Veach does, man. I mean, he's gonna do his thing this offseason, so we'll find out. It'll
I'm
be
glad
interesting.
he's making the decisions.
Valerie with the 10 bomb. Appreciate you, Valerie. She says, still a great team. Unfortunately, a disappointing game. Here's to a good season. What a great run. Dude, that many playoff games in a row is nothing to scoff at. I mean, what a run by this team. So, I mean, hats off to the Chiefs and what they've been able to do. I think the heartbreaking thing is how bad it was last night. It looked like, I think a lot of people kind of mentioned it looked like they didn't, the effort wasn't there. They looked lost. They looked like they weren't ready for the moment. They looked like the pressure got to them. This team, they've been through a lot, man. And maybe that's true. Maybe the pressure finally got to them and they were tired of hearing about the three-peat and they were just, there's only so much people can take, right? And you had the whole world against them. The entire world's against you. I mean, mentally, maybe they broke. But I mean, they're human, so it is what it is.
So maybe the
but what a
pressure
run,
of the
man.
three-peat maybe wasn't beneath the team. I know a lot of people said, "Oh, the three-peat
I don't
pressure."
know if it was that. I think it was added on pressure in the last. Do you realize in the last probably 3 weeks to a month, everyone really started stacking on to the Chiefs hate, and like I mean, it was literally
even the media.
nonstop. They tried to invalidate everything they've done. Even the media got in on it, and
there's
it's just
no
been
fire,
one
though,
thing
for
after
that.
another.
I feel like I would
after
wanna
another,
prove 'em
after
wrong.
another. Yeah, but I think eventually, man, it's like
We do
it
just
could go
quit
the other
and
way.
concede it.
It could go the other way real quick. I mean,
I guess so. Dude, I read a stat before the game, and I didn't really want to believe it, but I feel like this was the stat that held true, and maybe this was a very telling stat. I had read somewhere, and I can't find the exact numbers, but I had read that any time a Super Bowl matchup came with one side being a 1 seed that took a bye, which was the Chiefs, and the other side didn't take the bye, so they actually had to win 3 playoff games, they were undefeated. The bye team always lost. It had lost like 10 out of 10 times, and last night
Weird,
made it
isn't it?
11 out of 11. So the bye actually works against you. It works for you in your divisional, in your conference, but it works against you in the Super Bowl, and it's proven to be 11 out of 11 times, I believe. Don't hold me to that exactly, but I remember it was a huge, huge number. And when I read that, I was like, that kind of sucks because this is exactly what's happening. Like, now I don't know why it would correlate. I have no idea why that would correlate. It's so far from the bye week to the Super Bowl, and then everybody has to take that 2-week period. That's another thing I kind of hate about the Super Bowl. I think 2 weeks in between that game is a little much. Like, of course, they do it because why? They want all the media crap and making all the money they can. But 2 weeks feels just too long.
right. A lot of people also talking about, oh, this is the worst Super Bowl I've ever seen. It's so bad. It is.
It was pretty boring.
It was pretty bad, and the Chiefs didn't show up. But I mean, you have to also remember it wasn't too long ago. Super Bowl 48, maybe, when Denver got beat 43-8 by Seattle. And then back in the 90s, I know Dallas beat Buffalo one time by a lot. They scored like 52 points. I can't remember. So I mean, it's not super uncommon to see a blowout in the Super Bowl. I mean, it's not every year you don't see it. But
what
I mean,
color
it definitely
uniforms
happens.
did we wear when we lost to Brady?
Mike, Mike's
trying to make a
reaching now.
correlation. I was like, if we have to wear white again, I'm not doing it. But no, I think we wore red against Brady. So we've got blown out in the reds and the whites.
Yeah.
Because of course Brady would wear, it was a home game for the Bucs.
Greg Goodwin with the 2-bomb says it may be time to move on from Andy. I don't think it is yet. I think Big Red's not going to go anywhere. Now, if he chooses to retire and hang it up, that's one thing. But if Andy's going to coach, he'll be here till he's done. I think what he's been able to do in building this culture and what he's been able to do with Pat, I don't see that.
No, I actually seen a change from Andy this year. A willingness to get into a 12 and 13 personnel. A willingness to adapt to a run. A willingness to accept that your defense was good. And then what happened was when we got healthy and got all of our players back, Andy decided to go back to the first thing that they wanted to do, and they wasn't prepared to go there. Why? I don't think the players had played in it long enough. I think they were out of it too long. I still think there was monumental failures across the offensive line that never got addressed properly. But it's like Andy and them shifted out of what was working and went to something totally wrong. And they took 2 weeks to try to do it right. And I just don't think it was right. I don't think that was not the same game plan and the same team that we had been watching since the Cleveland Browns, Houston Texans, Pittsburgh stretch. They progressively got better and healthier every game through that stretch. And then in the playoffs, you seen start of a little bit of a backtrack. You started seeing Mahomes not getting rid of the ball quickly. You started seeing the run game kind of die down a little bit. And they were good enough and talented enough to take care of the first 2 games. Everybody will tell us it was because of referees. But that was a sign in itself that the Chiefs were not taking care of business, and it was coming down to 1 or 2 little controversial plays here and there because the Chiefs wasn't taking care of business properly, right?
Right.
You could see it. There were signs that something was happening, and it caught up to us. We were saying this all year. You don't always have to win games in blowout fashion. You don't, because look where the Lions ended up, on the couch, and didn't even get to the NFC Championship game. But there's still something to that throughout the year. You can't squeak by every single game and know that you have, and see with our own eyes. We were seeing offensive problems. We were seeing problems with turnovers. We were seeing Mahomes not play the best of his career. We were seeing the offensive line's problems. And what did we see in the Super Bowl? We seen every bit of that come to a head.
Right. Well, yeah, that, and you caught a team that was hot at the right time.
So again, when we go through a season, and not just us, but other people will get on here and they'll tell you that every week we look for problems and we look for things to identify and get better at. We're not complaining. We're not on here just poking fun at the teams. When we say Mahomes looked bad over the course of 3 or 4 games, we're not just dogging on Mahomes for the fun of it. Like, you're trying to identify the weaknesses and to try to correct them. Correct? And you see at the end of the year, everything that we had said in any kind of negative connotation after any game, win or lose, that we just didn't say, well, we won, it's cool.
Well, I mean,
You know
the
what I'm
thing
trying
about
to say?
it,
Like, I think we have to start being normal.
You get the people that are like, well, you're not the coach, you can't correct it, so why even call it out? Well, I mean, that's what we do. We're talking about
That's
team.
why we're here. Okay, let's all just talk to a wall then.
Right.
Don't have a conversation with nobody
Let's
in
put
your
on some-
family or your friends or nothing.
If you're not going to talk, if you're not going to talk about it, just put a cheerleading outfit on and go on. You know?
Yeah, just go get a pom pom and go do a split somewhere.
Appreciate you, Greg. The Chief KT with the 2 bombs says, to be honest, Trey can leave. Didn't like his performance. I've seen a lot of people in the chat also talking about the franchise tag. I think it's like $23 million to franchise tag an offensive lineman. I
And
I
that
don't know.
is $3 million more than what he's asking for per year.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Like, tag and trade would be the scenario, and I think Kyle brought that up in the chat. But
You're gonna do another L'Jarius Sneed thing this year, huh?
I mean, if they do it, that would be the thing. I don't think you let a guard play would take it $23 million.
You think you let the guard test free agency? I mean, I'm sure somebody is willing to pay the guard $23 million. They were doing it. I mean, guards have been getting overpaid now for 2 or 3 years. It's like
That's
the
pretty
new
wild
hot
that someone would. but-
position, right?
Yeah,
I
they
think
were
Nick Bolton
overpaying
is one-
guards last offseason.
I think Nick Bolton is one that could test the market, and I don't know if he'd get the number he's looking for.
Yeah. I don't think so, and I don't know
What
if
do you
Nick
think
Bolton
Nick Bolton
wants
tries to get?
I think Nick Bolton would rather be a Chief, to be honest.
I'm
Nick
kinda
Bolton
there
doesn't
with
strike
Nick Bolton, too.
Nick Bolton doesn't strike me as a guy trying to get a huge contract.
Trey Smith doesn't either. I feel like Trey Smith likes the organization.
Trey
He
Smith,
likes,
let's remember that everyone overlooked Trey Smith and everyone left him to the wayside in the draft and didn't want him because he had some health issues and this and that. And the Chiefs were the team that were
Yeah.
like, hey, what are we doing here? This is a steal. And they make his career for him. But that doesn't matter, man. There's no loyalty in sports anymore.
No,
Let's be
they
honest.
take what they can take.
Yeah, they're going to take as much money as they could take and walk out. I mean, there's not like loyalty to teams like there used to be. I mean, even off the field. I mean, or on the field at the end of the games, you see it. Like all the teams are buddy with each other. They're trading jerseys. They're, talking about whatever, and it's not what it used to be. It used to be a lot of team loyalty.
Yeah, it's not like
they
old
hated
school,
the other
everybody hates
teams.
each other. Yeah,
They wanted to win. They wanted to stick with the same team, and it's not like that anymore. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what they did for Trey Smith.
so
It doesn't matter.
yeah. So Steve, here's what they're saying: comparable players to Nick Bolton. You tell me, are these comparable guys in your opinion? Azeez Al-Shaair from the Texans. They said he's comparable. Tremaine Edmonds is comparable. That's who they're comparing. Okay. And they say that they should compare those contracts and that Nick Bolton at 24 years old, he'll be 25 when he goes to sign the contract. 4 years of experience. So he's at the end of his 4th year. They're saying his market value is somewhere around $12.3 million per season, $49 million for 4 years. Now that could be a little high because they also said Mike Dana was going to ask for $13 million a year,
Right.
which is wild. So let's say they say 12.3 and Nick Bolton gives the Chiefs maybe he don't want to leave, so he goes $10 million. Would you be fine paying Nick Bolton 4 years, $40 million, or does that still seem a little steep?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think?
What did you say for Nick Bolton?
4 years, $40 million? Would that be too steep for you?
No, that's good for Nick Bolton, I think. I think that's about right.
So 4 years, $48 million's too much. 4 years, $40 million, you'd be fine with.
I think they could find a happy medium there. It'll be somewhere in that range. And I think if they want to keep him, if that's really what they want to do, then they'll make that deal. I don't see why they wouldn't. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Real quick, want to say thanks for being here this morning. Do us a favor, hit that like button if you haven't already. We appreciate you for just coming in. Just dabbling, just putting our toes in the water and the free agency stuff and things like that. But there's going to be a lot more content for that. We'll be doing tons of off-season content. So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. This is where you want to be at for the off-season and for next season. So do that. Mike, a lot of people in the chat, I've just noticed a theme is just that this team had no fire last night. That they didn't like what they saw even on the sidelines. Even early on, and I'll agree, early on when they kind of got behind the 8 ball, I didn't see much on the sidelines of anyone trying to pump anybody up, anybody trying to give anybody energy. Everybody just sit there with their heads hung down the entire game. So that's disappointing to see.
It was so bad, it looked like they were selling.
It did, right?
Just the fact that D-Hop, Did you watch that play that D-Hop missed where he was wide open? That was the most awkward thing I've ever watched in my life. Like, D-Hop didn't even react to the football properly. Like, a human trying to catch a football doesn't even make the motion that D-Hop made. Let alone D-Hop, best hands in football, arguably.
Right.
Just so weird. And it wasn't even that bad of a throw going back and looking at it.
It was weird. I think D-Hop stumbled a little bit and the throw was off. So it was kind of a combination of both.
But it was the effort that was strange. It was like you just put your hand out to knock it down. It's like he's playing corner.
Which is
I
weird
don't
because
know.
he sucked in everything else the rest of the night.
Exactly.
You know?
It's so strange.
It was just everything was going wrong, you know? I mean, just what it was. It was one of those days for the Chiefs, man. Something they had to stomach. We got a 5-bomb from Julian. He says the Chiefs organization also failed to invest in the offensive line, focusing way too much on the receiver room. That's true. They overlooked it, and that was Brett Veach's blunder for this year. He always tends to have that one that he overlooks, and then he'll overcompensate the next season. Do you expect to see that this time, Mike? We saw it after the Tampa Bay game.
How do you overcompensate with the offensive line, though? We just discussed it. Is it Ronnie Stanley or go home? That's the only way you can overcompensate here.
Well, last time he just drafted like crazy.
No, he went out and he signed Orlando Brown.
Yes. So, I mean, you got to do something. I think
we're going to go back to the Ravens again? We're going back to the Ravens again. Well, he traded for Orlando Brown, I believe.
They might be trading.
You might have to trade again this year.
I'm not sure, but I do think that's definitely going to be a point of interest there.
Let me have a gander at who's some offensive tackles that could be trade targets.
All right, we got a 5-bomb from I'm Brown. He says, shocked after halftime Reed didn't put Tooney back inside, put DJ Humphries or Wanye in. Instead of getting beat at 2 or 3 spots, you get beat at 1 or 2. I just think that it didn't matter. I mean, that wasn't the formula that got you there. That wasn't the formula that was going to do anything. If they would have started DJ Humphries over there, would have been no different. If we would have had Trent Williams at left tackle last night, this game would have been no different. Because it wasn't about the abilities of the linemen that were out there. It was about the shitty position the coaching staff put them in by refusing to run the damn football early in the game. You go out, you run the ball one time in the first quarter, you run the ball twice in the second quarter, and you get behind 24-0, and you have a team that knows damn well you're never going to run the ball. We're going to pin our ears back now and just keep going after your quarterback. It has nothing to do with who the offensive line was. It could have been the AFC Pro Bowl offensive line. And
you're
they would have got their
showing more
ass beat.
fire right now than the team showed.
Exactly. Well, that's another thing. But, I mean, it's just – it sucks, and we can talk about, oh, maybe this, maybe that. But, I mean, ultimately, Andy Reid made a decision to roll with that offensive line, and it was fine all through the playoffs. It was the best combination of offensive line we've seen all year. It had nothing to do with their abilities last night. It was not that they were overpowered. It wasn't that they just could not stop that. It's just the fact that they got put in the worst possible position. Andy Reid, this one is on Andy Reid, 110%. And
I'm just curious, like, what do honestly people think DJ Humphries was going to look like?
He would look like ass, too.
We watched DJ Humphries play. He came in and played a game before he got himself injured, and he didn't look good. And he played exactly 0 more snaps of NFL football.
Right, and DJ Humphries, it was not going to stop the right side of the offensive line letting up all that pressure either.
Yeah, I mean, DJ Humphries wouldn't have stopped Wanye Morris giving up pressures. And again, we looked at it last night. Tooney let up 5 pressures, and Caliendo let up 2. 7 pressures, that's it?
Yeah.
That's it. That was 7 pressures and 2 sacks is all they give up. That's not that big of a deal at the end of the day.
A lot of it was Fangio kind of learned some things from losing to Mahomes for 8 times, right? And I think it was very apparent to me that he was using those outside rushing lanes to try to keep Patrick in the pocket because he knows Patrick don't want to be in the pocket. And he also knows that
Patrick himself was responsible for 3 of his 6 sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple. Steve, some trade targets.
What you got?
There's a guy that you liked coming out. You know, he got drafted by the Saints. Trevor Penning. What do you think about him? He's underperformed a little bit. He could be a guy.
Could be, but I mean, at the same time, like
he's not been great.
To me, I feel like you're at a point to where quit experimenting. Go
he's
grab
also going to be more of a
good,
right tackle, right?
Yeah, just To me, I'm kind of over the whole let's sign this guy,
Okay.
make him a left tackle, blah 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 stuff.
Okay, what about Evan Neal, draft pick for the Giants a few years ago that hasn't really been the greatest?
Once again, not a biggest fan of going out and trying to revive a career. I want a proven left tackle. Like, and however you have to do
Let's
that.
be completely honest. If you're an NFL team and you have a proven left tackle, are you trading him?
No,
We
That's
just
why I
learned
think-
that they're that hard to
That's
come
why I
by.
think you're kind of put yourself in this position now. There's probably not any in the draft.
Yeah,
that's worth
you've
drafting
kind of
that
got to
high,
go
and,
out and take a shot on somebody that's just not lived up to standard.
Either that or you try to get Ronnie Stanley. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. And you're going to have how many teams battling you for Ronnie Stanley?
You're gonna have to overpay him more than likely.
You'd have to overpay
But
him.
you kind of
and
put
that's
yourself
if
in that
he-
position.
That's if he decides he wants to leave Baltimore. He's played his entire career there. He could just stay.
Right. Right.
I
But is
really
it-
feel like the Chiefs may be in a spot here where they better hope that Kingsley or Wanye or whoever else, or maybe even DJ Humphries. DJ Humphries, I don't think was the right choice this year. I think Andy and everybody knew that DJ just was not ready to play. But maybe next year, with a full offseason under his belt, maybe he could be that guy. I'm not opposed to saying that.
Who?
DJ Humphries. Maybe you get him back for next year and he's got a full offseason to get ready. Now maybe DJ
Yeah.
Humphries could be good next year. Maybe he could play.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
Maybe
I mean,
that might be the
that's
way to
not-
go then.
It could be. It very
It
well
might
could
have
be.
to
But,
be.
but when he came in, and the fact that he's been off for that long with injury, and
No,
then he
this
only-
year it was not going to work.
no, it was a terrible idea to try to throw him in at the end there.
I don't
So,
know who come up with that idea, but they were slap nut. Just complete dumbass. I don't even know how to say it beyond that because for what Joe Tooney was able to do for this team and turn us around and even got us trending in the right direction to make this run, it wouldn't have happened without what Joe Tooney was able to do.
invaluable. Joe Tooney was a beast. So hats off to him. Flip with the 10 bomb. Have you guys had a chance to rewatch the first quarter and second quarter? Any momentum of our offense was starting to get going was diminished instantly because of flags. We'll have to play better next time. Yeah, so that's the thing. I mentioned that last night. I don't think the outcome of the game would have been any different if these calls weren't made because the Chiefs just didn't show up and Andy had a terrible, terrible game plan. But the Chiefs put themselves in a position to where a couple of those flags hurt them badly. In particular, the call on McDuffie, that was BS. That cost us 7 points. And then also when we had them on 3rd and forever, and they called that petty call on Nick Bolton for unnecessary roughness. Those two were a dagger. And the thing about it is they should have never been in position to even get those calls. They shouldn't be on the field for 85% of the first half. Their offense shouldn't have been on the field. Andy Reid absolutely failed this team in the biggest situation by just pulling what Andy Reid does from time to time, forgetting to run the football. Getting a little too ahead of himself, trying to outsmart himself, not doing what you obviously need to be doing. And it just got him in a bad position. And then those calls, they sucked. But let's be honest here. The Chiefs are not going to get any sympathy for that. I mean, good Lord. Look at what everybody's been talking about the Chiefs for the last month. But it sucks. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, it was kind of hard to get back into a rhythm. You missed your opportunity on the first 3 drives to establish a run game and to actually do something that could have set the tone for the rest of the game. Once Patrick threw the pick 6, this game was a wrap. You're already behind so far. You got to pass the ball. You still haven't ran the ball. They know you're not going to run the ball. It just sucks. It was just bad altogether. Appreciate the 10 bomb Flip. Nikki with the 2 says didn't see a do something special speech from Pat. Man, I don't know. We don't get to see all the little behind the scenes stuff. We don't get to see all the talks these guys had. But the team didn't seem ready for the moment. They really didn't. It didn't look like there was much fire there. I just saw a bunch of disgusted looks and a bunch of hung heads on the sidelines. That is basically what I saw. The best gesture I saw on the sideline all night was Patrick Mahomes going around and even though they get their ass whips all night long, just going around and dapping up every teammate and just letting them know, like, thanks for what you did this year. Thanks for whatever. That's about it. I mean, that's all you could get. But terrible, just terrible. Just a bad effort all around. Like I said, I just think it was nothing more than Andy putting them in a bad situation, and that was that. But yeah, we're on to the next one, man. We're on to the next one, Mike. It's time here soon. We'll probably try to freshen everything up. It's a new year. We'll be going into season 4, all chiefed up. What about that?
Season
going
4,
into season
man.
4. So
yeah. It's wild. I'm still trying to process the game a little bit. Like I said, I don't. To me, it's done. It's over with. You can't go back on it. And again, I'm telling you, if it would have been close, I don't know if I'd have felt that much better. Like, yeah, you'd have saved some face, but
it would still suck regardless.
Right?
But I mean, the worst part about it is just getting blown out when they had all the reason in the world to go out there and blow them out.
And I mean, I just literally just looked through the first half of this game, and it is so bad what we did.
Yep.
And to go back to the point of the fella that just donated, and talked about it and said it was it Flip that we did this and this. Like, our first series was 4 plays, and they were all 4 pass plays, and we punted. But there were no penalties there. The second time we got the ball, 3 and out. 3 passes, there were no penalties. In the third possession, 3 and out. 3 and out. No penalties. So that was 3 full possessions where we didn't do nothing. The fourth,
he's talking about the ones on the defense.
Okay, I was going to say
100%.
because the offense just never got going. I thought we were trying to say that the offense was trying to get it together, but we just kept getting bad
any
calls.
kind of momentum we got, the defense would
I
stop
totally
them.
agree with that one.
They just let them roll with it.
But again, I'm just looking at the way the offense executed, and it was just atrocious.
Well, that's why they lost. We all know that. It's obvious as hell. The offensive game plan was the downfall. Chief DeLorean with the 10 bombs says tag and trade Smith, move Norzad, Morris, or Kingsley to right guard, acquire a somewhat decent left tackle from Smith trade. Unfortunately, we're stuck with Taylor, who is okay but not worth what he was paid. 100%. There's nothing wrong with any of this comment. I think if you want to tag and trade Smith, that might be the route to go. I think that paying him what he's gonna get is not possible.
You may lose him and Joe Tooney.
Yeah.
That's a big possibility because look, you just named Hunter Norzad, who they just drafted, Wanye, who they drafted 2 years ago, Kingsley they just drafted. He's probably more fit.
I mean,
to play right tackle
eventually
or guard.
you gotta use these guys that you're investing in.
You drafted C.J. Hansen too.
Right.
That's another guard.
Eventually, you got to go to your guys, man. So I mean, if you missed on the draft, you missed on the draft.
They did have Ethan Driscoll. Remember, he was actually active. He played a little bit of left tackle. Maybe Ethan Driscoll can find a way to play somewhere. I don't know. I'm not saying he might, but you've got a lot of bodies on the offensive line, and there are a lot of young bodies, and they're all basically interior. So would it surprise me if Trey Smith hits the brick? I don't know. It really wouldn't. I don't know if I like it, but I mean, we're built in the inside. We're not built for the tackle position. That's it.
Appreciate the 10 bomb, Chief DeLorean. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us today. Still in mourning a little bit, still in shock a little bit, I suppose. It just sucks that that's what the effort that they came up with. It sucks that that's what Andy Reid came up with.
Yeah.
It sucks to see Andy Reid get out-coached by Dick Sirianni on a national stage.
That's sad.
Yeah, but that's exactly what happened. That's all there was to it. That's the worst part about it, too, is just looking at his smug ass and knowing that, dude, come on. Come on. It's crazy. Speechless, Mike. Speechless. But we got
to say, I'm done with it. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to get to free agency. I'm ready to see what we do. I'm ready to get to the draft, and we will. I mean, yeah, we'll get there. It never ends. It never ends.
Yep. Like I said last night, we got to put our big boy pants back on, get back up on there, and do this thing. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Got to regroup. It's time to regroup a little bit. As all chiefed up, and as the Chiefs regroup, we'll do the same thing. Looking forward to this next season, man. So be here. Hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button on the way out if you haven't hit it already. And we'll have tons of content in the off season, so don't go anywhere. We're going to be talking about the Chiefs getting better and getting back in there, man. I think the best thing the Chiefs could do after last night's performance is go out next year and get that Lombardi back.
I agree. Let's go get a win.
You got to do. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time. Go
See ya.
Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
There goes a sight from my soul.